In today's video, I travelled to the Padel Hub in Slough to test a new paddle brand that is launching this month. I also then play against two high-ranked players in the UK for a competitive match. The brand is called Pallap, and I was kindly invited to demo the rackets and also get some content playing a competitive match against George Weller and James Gregory. These two are high up in the UK paddle rankings and are both former high-level tennis players. Let's see how me and Harry got on. When myself and Harry arrived at Slough, we were greeted by Christoph and Rob, who were keen to show us their new paddle brand. Hugo Cases has also helped create this brand, and for those that don't know, he's a former professional player and now he coaches. And to be honest, I went in quite cynical because there are so many new brands coming out these days. But I was really impressed with these rackets. The quality was good, and me and Harry absolutely loved testing it. I loved using the racket on the day, and I will most likely be stocking these rackets now in my online store in a few weeks, which is quite rare because I've always kept my store to maybe 5 or 6 brands. To add a new brand is quite a big thing for me, so I really was impressed with these rackets.
Is Kevlar and carbon, so you can do that. It damage a bit the thing, but it will not break your racket because it's guaranteed it's carbon and Kevlar. So I'm happy to do that. I can take yours. I'm not sure you will be happy to do that.
No, definitely not.
And then the face.
So after a quick warm up with the lads, it was time to get started. Let's go. So obviously this game is a lot more casual than the tournaments that I've recently filmed, a lot less pressure, obviously the fact we're all testing out new rackets as well. So it was a real opportunity for me and Harry to test ourselves against George and James and also practice a lot of our shots. Now I will be honest, me and Harry absolutely loved these Pallap rackets, using them to the point where I have actually asked them to send me one because I do want to practice using it some more. I don't know if it was just on the day, everything was feeling really good, but I was just hitting the ball so cleanly, like the noise when I was hitting the ball was so nice. Similar to in that last tournament video, I start really strongly, aggressive on the front foot and forcing James and George at the back of the court. So started this game well, but you can see that James and George can be really dangerous if you do make a mistake. I made a big mistake by playing my backhand here way too easily and probably shouldn't have played it so far across because it pushed Harry out of position, creating space for George to play into. I was playing a lot of high-risk shots that I probably wouldn't play usually, like probably here I'd just play a lob, but it was paying off for me and Harry as we took a 2-0 lead with an early break of serve. On this point here, I massively bottled the smash. It kind of went up easily for me quite early, and it was kind of early in the game, so it was a bit less warm, so just went for the easy bandeka. Definitely should have done it. Luckily, Harry plays a lovely bahada through the gap, and then actually I grow some balls and play the smash and get the point. On this point here, you can actually see me and Harry end up switching sides. Now, usually what I would do in this situation is just get the lob up nice and high and then switch back to our own side, but it doesn't quite work for us. And I end up staying on that right side, and then George starts to put me under some pressure, and I just kind of panicked, and I had a lot more time than I did. I should have just composed myself a bit more, got that lob up, and then gone back on the left side. So when you're playing against players like George and James, obviously they come from a tennis background. I do actually think they've adapted to paddle really well. It doesn't feel too much like you're playing tennis players. However, their hands are so good, and it's very difficult to beat them in a volley battle. You feel like you've beaten them because you'll smash it straight at their feet and they'll just knock it straight back. So it was quite difficult to get to the net, especially with George's height as well. It was difficult to lob him. George just keeps getting everything back here, and I do manage to dig out this ball, and then I get one of the luckiest volleys towards the cage. Complete miss hit, was meant to go down the middle, but I will take it. A lot of their plans was to play a Chiquita and then rush the net and then beat us in a volley battle, and it was working. So I was trying to say to Harry, let's try and keep him at the back of the court and not allow them to come in. As well as both of them having really good hands for the volley battle, they were very aggressive at the net position. You can see in a few clips here, us trying to defend and then George and James just stepping in and popping the ball out. The smash was difficult to deal with, but also they'd often play a really strong volley with spin and then just step in and pop it out effortlessly, which is very demoralizing, but also there is then an intimidation factor because when you're defending, you're more worried and then you're more likely to make an error because you're trying to make your shots really perfect. think this clip here is probably me and Harry's best defence of the day, where we managed to transition to the net and not allow George and James to stay in. You can see how aggressive they were, maintaining the net. James stepping in to pop it straight out, just about stays in, and Harry plays a lovely volley into the corner. And this time I used George and James' strategy myself by rushing the net on the Chiquita. I have to say, I really enjoyed this match. It was a little bit crazy at times, and it was very fast and a bit all over the place. You can see kind of a lot of ugly shots from me where I'm like failing to pop it out. It's not quite going out, but I really enjoyed the aggression. However, I think if it was in a tournament, I probably would have held back a little bit more, just because I was making quite a few errors as well. Now, Harry is about to play a shot that as soon as he hit, he said to me, please don't put it in the video. However, I'm sorry, Harry, but my editing software won't let me delete this clip. So maybe just look away now or skip 5 seconds. But I do always think if you're in matches like this where you're just playing socially and it doesn't really matter what happens, this is your chance to try and be a little bit more aggressive and go for your points a little bit more. Like I said in the last video as well, feel free to leave any comments of what you thought of this game, anything you think me and Harry could have done better, or any just sort of observations from the match. My sort of general assessment of this game was, I think me and Harry started really strong, but then I feel like we weakened as the game on. Bit of fatigue, but also a few errors, whereas I feel like James and George maintained their level. If anything, they actually got stronger towards the end. They kind of came into their prime during the latter stages of the match. So this was George and James up in the first set 6-3. It did feel a lot closer than that in my opinion, but the second set is where I really feel like it started to go a little bit more downhill for me and Harry. George and James just getting more and more aggressive and really getting into the game more, whereas me and Harry, I feel like we actually started to struggle more and lose it a bit. And then George plays probably the best shot of the day. I think he would have been a bit annoyed if I'd left this clip out. Another really good combination at the net, and George and James just never really allowing me and Harry to take full control of that net in that second set. They really dominated it and maintained it so well, and they go on to win the second set 6-2, 6-3, 6-2. I actually think the first set was a lot closer than 6-3, and the second set was a lot further away than 6-2. Probably should have been like 6-4, 6-love if I'm completely honest. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.